Folks, this webinar is exploring the new EBSCO interface, and we have Shauna Ashwood-Viala, who is the Senior Customer Training Consultant at EBSCO.
Thank you, Devin, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining our overview of the new EBSCO host user interface for NC Live. As Devin mentioned, my name is Shana. I'm a Senior Customer Training Specialist. I live in the New York area. Got a background in education, but I've been working for EBSCO, supporting our clients in North America for a number of years. Welcome, everyone. I just want to let you know that any questions are welcome throughout the session, so feel free to unmute yourself or utilize the chat feature that can be found in the Zoom toolbar to enter your questions, and I'll be sure to get to them. The topics we're going to cover today, of course, we'll provide an overview of the new EBSCO host user interface. Hopefully you've been using it. We'll talk about key changes that came to the new user interface. I'll provide a live demonstration of those key features and functionality, and of course, questions at any time. So just a few slides to talk about a few technical things that you should be aware of with regard to the new UI. The new UI user interface comes with a new URL structure. It is configured with what we call an opaque ID, which is OPID for short. It's an alphanumeric string that is embedded within your URL. That's custom to the profile that you have enabled for searching by your patrons. And it contains all of your settings in addition to your preferred authentication. So it looks something like this, research.ebsco.com/C, and then that unique identifier. That unique identifier, because it holds your preferred authentication, it is actually also a persistent link now. So that's one of the major improvements to the new UI, is that you don't have to go looking for the persistent link, excuse me, in the share tools. You can actually pull them off of the browser URL. So any browser URL, when you're utilizing EBSCO host, EBSCO databases are now persistent links. Accessibility was a huge factor with regard to all of our improvements to the user interface. We're working towards WCAG 2.1 AA compliance for accessibility, and we are more than 90% of the way there. Of course, we are 508 compliant. Some of the accessibility features you will enjoy include a responsively designed interface for use on all of your mobile devices, a simplified design to reduce cognitive load, so more white space, less words. Of course, you'll have the things that you've become accustomed to: auto-suggest, auto-correct. We've actually brought forth the most popular filters on our default basic search page to enable quick filtering prior to executing a search. We have an accessible ebook format called EPUB. We have headings and landmarks for screen reader navigation, descriptive text for images and non-text elements, transcripts for videos, skip links, and our full text resources, whether you're viewing them as an HTML or a PDF. We have enabled text to speech, as well as the ability to download the audio file into an MP3. Globalization is also important. So our interface now supports 33 languages. The most recent addition is Hindi, and users can set their preferred language in their My EBSCO Preferences section. Just waiting for this to advance. And my computer's slow today. Oh, well, let's just get to the live demo. Before I actually exit out of the PowerPoint, since it's giving me a problem, I'm going to quickly show you. Once we do the demonstration live, I will also talk to you about where you can access a ton of resources on your own time, at your own leisure, at our support site, which is called EBSCO Connect. There you can look up a ton of resources. I will be following up with Devin with a few important links to articles and resources for further learning. But one important thing that you should be aware of is that we have access to our platform roadmap. So the new user interface is new and we continue to improve it. So through the next few months, you will continue to see improvements, and those features are plotted on our timeline, which is our platform roadmap, which is publicly accessible. We'll go to that. And we also give you access to our release notes. So if you haven't visited us in a while and you want to know what recently released in terms of features and functionality, we do have access to our release notes as well. And I'll show you where to access that. Of course, in addition to those two things, we have access to our learning resources called EBSCO Academy, where you can always attend a live session or review a public training, access tons of resources like FAQs, user guides, view tutorials, all at EBSCO Connect. And these are the resources that I'll be sharing with Devin to share with you all. We have on our Connect site, we've got a quick start guide for the new EBSCOhost UI, FAQs, an article about our accessibility features, as well as the ebook accessibility guide. I will also give you a link, direct link to the platform roadmap, our release notes, the landing page, and we even have a little article that talks about how user feedback help shape the new user interface. So tons of resources for you. I won't have to come back to this presentation. Now what I'm going to do is go into our nclive.org. Please let me know if you're still able to see my screen share. I just want to make sure.
Yep, can see it.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Sometimes when I switch, if I'm not the owner of the Zoom, it doesn't appear. So I just wanted to make sure. But thank you everyone for making a note in the chat. All right, so we're looking at nclive.org. I'm sure that many of you at your own local libraries have a link, a direct link to resources, possibly. But at the nclive.org site, you can always access our resources by browsing all databases. On the All Databases page, you can limit by EBSCO, and it will provide a link to all of the resources that are available within the EBSCO host user interface. So of course, the EBSCO host user interface is the face or the holder of all of those databases that enable your end users to conduct research. So you have access to CINAHL, you have access to our ebooks, you have access to GreenFile, and you have access to MasterFile Premier. So we're going to take a look at that. Of course, you'll authenticate through your library's preferred authentication method. And then when you do, you will land at our EBSCO host. This is the new UI for EBSCO host. NC Live has decided to make the advanced search screen the default landing page, and you do have that choice to either have the default landing page be your advanced search screen with your multiple search boxes, your ability to enter keywords, multiple keywords or phrases, and combine those with our Boolean operators, with the AND operator, or to expand your search for all using the OR operator, or to exclude a certain keyword or phrase using the NOT operator. You also have the ability for the keywords you enter to qualify those keywords by selecting a field code. So let's say if you're interested in searching for a keyword that exists in the title of a resource or the subject terms. You have several field codes to qualify that keyword with. Also on the advanced search page, I'm just covering a few of our navigational features here. You also have access to add additional fields. I believe up to 7 additional fields you can add for additional terms to make a more sophisticated search. Below that, we have several tabs of information I just want to point out here. We'll be diving into each of these today. But for the filters, that's where you will land. You'll have all of your common limiters available that are exposed. So prior to executing your search, you can limit your search to full text resources only or peer-reviewed resources only. You can utilize our publication date limiters to resources published within the last year, 5 years, or 10 years. Here you can also enter a custom range. You can also limit by publication. So if you know the title and you want to limit your resources to a particular publication, you can do so. Below that, we have all of our custom limiters available for the databases that you have enabled. So we have custom limiters for the ebook collection, custom limiters for our medical database like CINAHL. So if you are going to restrict your search to CINAHL, you can employ some of these custom limiters. Maybe you're only interested in the continuing education modules or evidence-based practice resources. We also have, and let me close the CINAHL, custom limiters. We also have custom limiters for master file, Premier, green file, and it depends on the database. So all of these custom limiters for these databases are a function of the databases that you have enabled. So right above that multiple search box option, you'll see a hyperlink to all databases, and that will show you the databases that you have enabled. So end users, by default, are searching all of these databases. But let's say you have a nursing student or practitioner or clinical researcher, and they would like to conduct research in CINAHL exclusively. That person can then just choose to select CINAHL and execute a search alone. And when you do that, now that we only have CINAHL Plus with full text available, you'll see that the filters are just the CINAHL filters. So it will remove all of those custom limiters or available for the other databases. And then you will also see the CINAHL subject headings available for conducting research by subject heading. All right, so several options for users. I'm going to go ahead back to our default and select all to bring us back here. All right, so that is advanced search. If you want to see what the basic search screen looks like, there is a link to basic search. That brings you to this basic search page with just one search box where you can enter your keyword or phrase. And then you'll see on the basic search screen, in addition to, well, instead of all of the filters available to you, we have just brought forth the most popular filters here for basic search. So prior to executing that search, you can limit to full text resources just by clicking that button, or peer reviewed, or our quick time filters for past 12 months, 5 years, or 10 years. All right, I'm going to go back to advanced search since this is the default, and I do want to pay close attention to what's going on over here on our left side of our screen, which is a big change from classic. Our classic interface used to have all of our limiters available, exposed, but for reducing cognitive load, we've kind of simplified the landing page here. What is exposed is the dashboard. The dashboard keeps track of a user's activity for the session that they're in. So any resources they view and save will be stored here for their session. Any searches they conduct will be stored on recent activity. So that's our dashboard setting for the session. So if you were to close your browser, shut down, log out, any activity that you were tracking for your session would go away. If a user wants to keep track of all of this information and save it long term, then they do have the option to log into My EBSCO. There is a link in the upper right corner to My EBSCO. This is a sign-in link, and this is where end users can choose, if they want to, this is completely optional, to create their own personal account, an EBSCO account called My EBSCO. The account benefits are listed here. It allows users to create custom project folders to organize their research, allows them to store their downloaded ebooks, save their research long term. So as long as NC Live has a subscription, your patrons have access to their research, whether they are accessing it tomorrow or next month or next year. This is a custom account for that user. And it also syncs to the mobile app. So if they have the mobile app on their mobile device, any work they do on the desktop, on the native interface while logged into My EBSCO is accessible on that mobile app as well. There's a link here to create an account or to sign in if you are an existing user. All right, so that does it for my quick overview of the navigational features. Let me pause here and see if anyone has any questions or comments or anything that makes you wonder before we dive into our demonstration. I'm going to pause just for a moment just to give everybody an opportunity to ask any questions.
Folks, feel
Okay.
free to share questions in the chat as well.
Yes.
So with the new interface, will this be the way anybody from the public or users can use NC Live? the search method.
Absolutely. We're taking a look at your end user interface for any patron who has access to NC Live resources. So yes. And I do see a question from Laura. Is there a way to make holds and checkouts go away if you don't use it? Absolutely. I was going to keep our discussion to front end things, but we can talk about this holds and checkouts area. This can be confusing, and I think Laura is picking up on it because the holds and checkouts area only pertains to EBSCO ebooks. So it does not contain, or it doesn't pertain to your larger collection. So it may confuse your patrons thinking that they can actually place a hold on a physical resource. It only pertains to the ebooks on our platform. So in our back end as a system administrator, you can hide this holds and checkouts area. I can send instructions on how to do that. And we also host a monthly session on EBSCO Experience Manager, which is our new back end. So if you want to learn how to configure this interface for your institution's needs, if you want to attend that EBSCO Experience Manager session, I will follow up with a link to it. We offer it monthly. Anyone is can join the live session. We also have recordings and a ton of articles on how to configure this look and feel. All right, so question from Emily. You mentioned that the URL bar can now serve as a permalink. Do you need to be logged in to a MyEBSCO account for that to work, or if it would work for anyone? All right, so I will show you. You'll have to be authenticated, right? Well, if you have guest access enabled, you will still see the URL. But what it will do is it will just follow through with whatever the preferred authentication method that you have set as an administrator for your library's experience here. So I've highlighted the URL in my browser. And you can see that the research.ebsco.com/C, that OPID, that opaque ID, is specific for NC Live's profile for the EBSCO host interface here. This is going to hold the preferred authentication. It's hidden, and all of your settings. So when you click and save this and share this with a patron, when they go to this link, in order to access the full text, they maybe, if you have guest access enabled prior to logging in, they will probably be able to see the resource, but when they go, or the result page, or at the landing page, or what have you, if they want to access the full text to a resource on the results page, then they will have to then authenticate to access the full text, if that makes sense. Let's see. Question, will older permalinks continue to work? Yes, and I'll show you where you can still pull the persistent link. And with the migration from the classic interface to the new user interface, there are redirects in place. Okay, so you don't have to reconfigure, it should redirect. Let's see. Question from David, is there a way to set a default citation style from the admin section? I see the one at the top of the list is Brazilian National Standards. Yes, and that we get that question asked a lot. Currently, there is not a way, but it is something that I believe we have an enhancement request on the books for. So if this is something that you would like to see, I will say that there is strength in numbers. So I would submit an enhancement request through our case system with customer support. If you are a system administrator at your institution, hopefully you have access to create cases with EBSCO support. If not, then I would request that your system admin submit a request for prioritizing the list of citations. Right now, it's just listed alphabetically, and we know that no one outside of Brazil probably uses the ABNT citation style. Okay, and I see that Devin said she will submit an enhancement request, so wonderful. Okay, all right, so let's get back. Thanks for the questions, keep them coming. We're gonna start by conducting a search. So I took a look at some of the more popular search terms that are being conducted through NC Live patrons, and one is definitely artificial intelligence, social media and mental health is one of them. I'm going to start with a search for, we'll do artificial intelligence. So I do like doing that one. Actually, for some reason, it's a little stale. Let me refresh my screen. I want to make sure that my auto suggest is populating. Let's see the chat. We may have a comment. Okay, speaking of citations, are there plans to update Chicago 17th to Chicago 18th? I actually assume there are. I don't know specifically, but we can put in a request to find out with our product management team. I'll make a note of that. All right, so I'm going to start typing. And so as we start typing, of course, you can see here that AutoSuggest is anticipating my terms based on popular search terms. This is a great way to quickly get at the resources we're interested in searching. So I'm going to actually select artificial intelligence or AI to my search. And then I'm going to add another term. Since we're on advanced search, I'm interested in artificial intelligence as it relates to policy. So I'm going to actually select policy or policies or laws or legislation. I'm actually interested in artificial intelligence as it is mentioned in the title of a resource and policy or laws or legislation in the subject term. So these are optional. You don't have to select a field code, but I'm just demonstrating some of our functionality here. Before I execute my search, I'm also going to use the filters here. I'm going to limit to full text. I'm only interested in full text resources. Since it's a recent topic, maybe I'm only interested in articles published within the last 12 months. All right. We'll go ahead and execute that search. So I'll go ahead and then click search to update. And that brings us to 78 search results. Now, an obvious thing here is that we have a little tick box or notification that we have a new feature that released last month, I believe, or 2 months ago. So this actually should be kind of gone by now, but it's a little notification because as we release functionality, we just like to point out what's new for our patrons and users. So this is showing us that we have the ability to bulk select from our search results set. I'll get to that in a moment, but let's talk about, our term, our search query here that's been built. We have 78 results. It's going to show 10 at a time. I can increase that to show up to 50 at a time. But as I scroll down to the first 10, you'll see that we have a bar here to expand to show more results. We also have related videos from the Associated Press at the bottom of our search results. But going back up to the top here, all of our search results are sorted by relevance. We can change that. That's the default sort, but we can change it to the most recently published resources or the oldest within our search results set here. We also have 3 dots. This gives us the ability to save our search. So we can save this search query. If I click the save search, it will give me a notification here that this is only a temporary save for the session that I'm in. If I wanted to save it long-term to access it and run it next week or next month or next year, I would need to be signed into my EBSCO. But it will pull the query. It will give me the search results count and any filters that I've applied, in addition to the databases that I've searched. It just creates the query as a search name, but I can change this to anything I want. And I'll go ahead and click save. I'll get a notification that that has been saved. And then my search will be saved in my recent activity. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's see, a question regarding citations. Speaking of citations, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. I've also noticed that some articles that are available full text do not save the PDF to Zotero anymore when using the Zotero multi-select tool. Has anyone else noticed this happening? I don't think we have Zotero as an option for exporting citations, but when we get to that, maybe you can expand on the issue there. All right, so let's take a look. We have right below our search query here, a number of buttons here. These are our filters. I've already limited to full text. If I wanted to limit further quickly to peer-reviewed resources or change the date limiter, I could. I can also quickly limit to some source types. If I want to access my full complement of filters, I can click that All Filters button, the first one, and it will expose this panel on the right, giving me access to all of my options. It keeps track of what I've already employed we see that we've already employed the full text and the past 12 months active filters, and those will remain sticky between my searches. So if I were to modify my search query, full text in past 12 months will stay sticky unless I manually remove that or unlock that icon. Some default expanders are already applied. We can see that they're listed here. We'll show you where you can make modifications to that as well. As we scroll down, all of our options are available. So within the publication date, I can enter a custom range here if I chose to, but I'll stick with past 12 months. I can limit by source types. We have 78 search results. 41 of them are from magazines and academic journals. There are 11 if we take a look, we can take a look at some of the facets, maybe by subject terms, maybe within artificial intelligence and policies and laws. Maybe I'm interested in action and defense law or data privacy. Hit counts are represented over here. There are additional subject terms that I can select, 143 more by expanding that, but we won't bother. We've got our Lexel range, so if we wanted to identify the appropriate reading complexity for the 78 search results, maybe we have someone who is new to the English language and maybe we want to identify an easier read. We can select within our search result set an easier read. The lower the Lexel range number, the easier the read. We also can limit by publisher or publication. So maybe I'm only interested in articles published in Modern Healthcare or the Congressional Digest. We can take a look at those. Language limiters are available. These are all happen to be English, and then we have geography. So those are all of our active filters at the top. I haven't made any additional changes. I will maybe let's just keep it to academic journals and magazines, and we can see how that has updated here. I'll apply to then refine my search results further. So that brings me down to 51. Let's take a look at below these filter options. We also have organized our resources based on the databases we've selected. All results is showing. If there are any evidence-based, I don't think there are, but this is a result of having the CINAHL database active. Quick Lessons is also a filter for CINAHL databases resources, but this would change. And actually, let me remove CINAHL because that's kind of throwing things off. And then we'll see that that goes away, actually. So let's take a look at our, I'll go back to actually adding CINAHL to keep our numbers high enough for me to take a look at bulk export options. All right, so below that, we have 51 results here. If I wanted to share the 51 results after I've applied my filters, I can still grab that URL. It's not as pretty a URL as once you're on the full text page, but it still is a persistent link. Let's take a look at that bulk option here. This tick box. It doesn't make sense until you click it. So we can click it to select by default the first 10 resources or up to 50 if I choose that. But let's click that tick box. And now we can see the tools available by selecting that bulk option. So this is our option to bulk download up to 10 resources by default or up to 50 if I select the 50. So bulk download from our search results set, the metadata, bulk save, bulk move to our project folder, bulk share the first 10, or bulk cite. All right, so those are our bulk options. If I were to select one just for a demonstration, I just selected the bulk download option. So it's going to bulk download the metadata for this and 9 more items from our search results set for the metadata. We'll select a format and then click download. All right, so that's just your bulk option. It's going to select. Let's do I'll save actually. And this time I'm actually going to select 50. So it lets me know that 50 can be selected at a time. If I was logged into my EBSCO, I would be able to bulk select up to 25,000 resources from our search results set for the metadata. But 50 is the limit without personalizing or logging into my EBSCO. So I'm going to save 50 resources. I'm going to click that save. And it lets me know 50 items are saved. Sign into my EBSCO if I want to keep it long term. Okay, so that's your bulk option. Now let's move down, taking a look at some of our resources. A lot of information is presented here. We can see that this first resource is from an academic journal. The title is a hyperlink getting us to the detailed record of that article for more information. We see the author information, the subjects, and there are 9 additional resources here for subject terms. The subject terms are also hyperlinks if I want to execute a subsequent search based on subject headings. We've already saved this, so the flag icon is highlighted over to the right. The 3 dots give me quick access to citing this resource, moving it to a project folder, a custom project folder, sharing and downloading. We'll get into those tools once we expose the full text. All right, so let's take a look at the, we can see this next resource is from a peer-reviewed academic journal. We can see that the abstract, the summary of the article, is limited to just 2 rows because of the, keeping the site clean and reducing the cognitive load. If we want to review the entire abstract, we'll just click that show more, and we are going to show less just to hide that again. And we do the same thing with the subject terms. Only 4 are presented. To see the additional ones, we can click the show more or show less. Let's get to a resource here that has more than 1 full text option. Notice that this particular resource has 1 full text viewing option as a PDF. If we take a look at resource number 4, this has 2 options, PDF and online full text. So let's take a look at the 2 full text viewing options. I'll start with online full text, also known as HTML. It's going to load the article, which we are viewing now. We can scroll through the article. Notice in the upper right corner, we have several tools available to us. It's going to automatically open to the table of contents, giving us the ability to jump around in this article by selecting any of the hyperlinks within the table of contents, but I'll close that. And we're going to start over at the first icon. Since I already saved this on the search results page, that flag icon is highlighted. I can deselect or reselect if I want. It will always let me know that because I'm not logged into my EBSCO, this is a temporary save. We have our cite option. So let's take a look at the cite tool. That quote icon gives us the citation modal where we can select from our citation styles. As we mentioned, that it is, and this is where David was talking about earlier, where it defaults to the ABNT. It's just an alphabetical listing, so you can scroll down to Chicago 17th. We'll take a look at if that's going to be updated soon. MLA 9th edition is available. And so you can select a citation. We'll choose MLA 9th edition. The citation is presented, which we can then copy to our clipboard or and then paste into our research. We can also choose to export the citation using the citation tab here. This gives you the citation tool of choice. You can export in RIS. I guess this is where that question for Vicky mentioned an issue when exporting in RIS for use with Zotero. So if you're noticing that there is an issue, I would definitely submit that to our support staff. It doesn't save to PDF when using Zotero. I'm not sure if that's an issue with the export or an issue with Zotero. If you want to elaborate, please let me know. We can kind of discuss that here. Okay, and if you do, just let me know either in the chat or just by unmuting. But our citation export options also include exporting to EasyBib, RefWorks, EndNote, and Noodle tools. So those are our citation options. We do have the Add to Project. You have to be signed in to my EBSCO in order to do that. We have our Share tool. That swishy arrow gives you access to our cloud options to share this article with your Google Drive or your OneDrive. This is where you can also still access the persistent link, copy it to your clipboard, or remember the URL in your browser is also a persistent link, so you can just pull it from there as well. You also have the ability to email the article when available as a PDF or online full text HTML by entering that email address and clicking send. And remember, whomever you send it to, because the preferred authentication is hidden in that OPID, that person would have to authenticate as an NC Live user or a user of a patron of your public library in order to access the article. There's the download option, giving you the ability to download the full text when available as an HTML or PDF. You can also download the metadata only, as we demonstrated on the search results page, by selecting the format and then clicking download. We have the print option, pretty self-explanatory, so we'll just jump over that to the translate tool. This gives you access to our translation tool where you can translate this article in numerous languages, all listed here alphabetically, some of which I cannot pronounce. So I'm going to choose one to demonstrate how this is translated. Let's utilize French Canadian. So we'll choose that. And this is a Microsoft machine translation. It will cite that source for this translation once it executes over on the right panel. So we can see that we're now taking a look at this article translated into French Canadian by Microsoft. We can quickly click back to the original language by clicking the original language button. And now we're taking a look at this article back in English. All right, so let's close that translation tool. We demonstrated the table of contents. We do have related items, which will give us access to related articles if we want to. We also have the listen tool, the read speaker tool, which will read the article aloud. So we're taking a look at this article. We have our read speaker tool. We can play, fast forward, and rewind with the buttons at the top, control the volume, the playback speed. We can disable or enable the scrolling. And there goes that download option for the audio into an MP3 file. And for HTML articles, we can also control the text highlighting. So let me just demonstrate the read speaker tool.
Risk management, artificial intelligence in clinical practice question. This ongoing column is dedicated to providing information to our readers on managing legal risks associated.
Okay, so hopefully you heard that. You can control the text highlighting here for this HTML article. So that's our read speaker tool. Let me actually go back to our search results and take a look at the same article. I believe it was number 4. Yeah. And we're going to view the same article now as a PDF. It's going to present the article in the way in which it was published, complete with formatting and imagery, as we are looking now at the article. And we can see that many of the tools are the same. Some are different. Save, cite, project, share, download, print are all the same. Notice that we do not have the ability to translate the PDF of this article because it's treating the article as a picture, so it's not going to translate the text. But we do have the read speaker technology, so we can have it read aloud. Works similarly. You don't have the ability to change the text highlighting because it's not treating it as text, but it will read it aloud just as the same. Another feature that's coming soon is this magnifying glass, which allows you to conduct a search within a PDF for a keyword. If you have access to the mobile app, this already functions on the mobile app, so this is a feature that's coming soon. The icon's there, but it's not working yet. So that's the PDF of the full text article that we accessed from our search results. Any questions here? All right. So let me clear my search. The best way to do that is to just click New Search under the Research Tools in the left panel. That's going to bring us back to our search results page, clearing our activity. Now what I'd like to do is kind of talk to you about the other tabs here. We have our filters. We have our search options. I should have talked about that earlier, but I'll just show you that you can modify your search modes in addition to applying filters. The search modes that are set by default by the NC Live administrators. Right here, we see it's a find all my search terms, which is automatically anding your phrase that you enter in the search box. You can change that as an end user to a proximity search or to finding any, which automatically ORs your search. You can also utilize smart text searching, which allows you to paste large amounts of copy into the search box, and it will use some technology to extract the key terms and then execute a search based on that. And we also introduced a new search called natural language that is now available. And that functions similar to posing your search terms as a question like you would do in Google or with AI, or you can use natural language searching. We have articles about all of these search modes available on our support site, which is Connect. And there's actually a link to it right here. So if we were to click this, it will pop us into the Connect site, which talks about all of the different search modes. So if you are not familiar with search modes, you can just click that, review the article, and then make your selections. We also do the same for our expanders. When accessing resources through NC Live, all of these expanders are automatically employed. You can choose to deselect them. If you are not sure about what these expanders are doing, you can then also access the link on our support site or the article on our support site, EBSCO Connect. All right, so I'm going to move over to publications. So everything we've done to this point has been a keyword search at the article level. So we're entering keywords to find articles pertaining to our search terms. The publications tab is a title level search. So David, if you don't see a box to select natural language search, if you're not accessing through NC Live, that is something that can be disabled or enabled in your administrative settings. So it may be something that was turned off by your administrator. So I would actually reach out, and it is a quick toggle within EBSCO Connect that you can either turn it on or turn it off. All right, so let's take a look at publications. Oh, so you're accessing it via the school and not NC Live. And so that might be something that the school administrator has decided not to enable. And actually, it's new, so it may not be widely available. It might have been set as a default for public, but not for school libraries. I'm not exactly sure. Yes, you can, and it's EBSCO Experience Manager, so it won't be an option that you can enable in EBSCO Admin, which is our classic backend. It is a feature that is a net new feature in Experience Manager. All right, so publications, let's take a look. This is our title level search. So if you're looking for particular titles that are available within your EBSCO databases, this is where you want to go. So on the Publications tab, this is a function of the databases that you have enabled here. So we can see within the Publications tab, we can search for publications available in CINAHL, in green file, in master file, okay? And then we can execute a search for those publications at the title level by entering a title, searching alphabetically, by matching any words, or by searching by subject and description. We also have the ability to toggle through the A to Z listing here. I know, let's see. I'm going to just enter a search for consumer, and let's see what is presented. I know that one of the most popular search terms at NC Live is for consumer reports. So this is a quick way to get to the consumer reports title, publication details. So I just entered consumer, and then we can see that there are several options here. We have the consumer reports buying guide, money advisor, consumer reports on health. You have a lot of consumer reports publications. The most popular, of course, is the consumer reports publication and the buying guide. Both are available as HTML and PDF full text resources. If you want to get to the publication details for any of the publications available to you, each of these is a hyperlink, which will take you to the publication details for, in this case, consumer reports. There are several features here. I can see the ISSN number, the publisher's information. So just to confirm that I'm accessing the correct publication, that information is provided. We can see that I have access to full text for consumer reports dating back to 1991 to the present. I can even go to the publisher's URL. I can see the frequency of publications per year. And there goes the logo when all else fails. Over to the right, I have access to all issues and articles for Consumer Reports dating back to 1991. I don't know why 1921 keeps it in my mind. I think it's because I'm always demonstrating Congressional Digest, which is from 1921. But 1991 is Consumer Reports. I can show additional years by clicking the Show More link. But this year tree gives me access to all issues and articles. So if I click the plus sign next to 2025, I can access all 3 issues available. We already have the April 2025 issue available. So if I want to take a look at that issue, I can click that hyperlink. It's going to execute a search, and notice how my search is built for the journal, the date. And now I'm taking a look at the 13 articles published in Consumer Reports, April 2025. Okay. So I'm actually in the process of looking for a new car. So these articles actually are very pertinent for me. So we can take a look at those articles. They are available as PDFs. So let's take a look at Access Now. We're going to look at this article now, Best and Worst Used Cars, Special Buying Guide. We can jump around to the different chapters or paragraphs within that. So now we're taking a look at car ratings. So great resources here. I'm going to go back. Let me just toggle back to get back to where I was. All right, so back on Consumer Reports. So in addition to accessing the articles by volume and issue, I also have the ability to search within this publication. So if I click this little tick box, Consumer Reports, I can then enter a keyword to search for any articles published in Consumer Reports. So maybe I'm also looking for a new, I don't know, dishwasher. I'll just execute a search. And now I'm going to take a look at all the articles, 419 articles published in Consumer Reports dating back to 1991 about dishwashers. And this is sorted by relevance, but I can also, in this case, maybe sorting by date newest would be more appropriate to see the most recently published article about dishwashers. And here goes one that was published in January, February of this year on what if you buy a dud. So some great ways to utilize that filter. All right. So those are your publication options. Let's go back to advanced search. Remember, you can conduct a publication search here with the publication tab. Okay. Let's go ahead and clear that. I'm going to click new search, and let's take a look at, I'll just keep these available actually. Let's take a look at our subjects tab. We have the ability to search by subject headings by clicking the subjects. And once again, it's a function of the databases that we have enabled. So let's take a look at the subject terms for master file premiere. Actually, let me take a look at the green thesaurus. Let's just change our focus here. So now I'm going to conduct search for topics by subject heading, which is going to, instead of taking a look at the keyword as it appears in the top layer of metadata, it's going to take a look at the subject terms as they're indexed in the database that I'm searching. So we are taking a look at the green thesaurus. I'm going to be searching maybe for organic gardening. I'm looking to see if this is a subject term in the green thesaurus. I can enter term begins with or relevancy ranked. I'll just stick with term begins with, that's the default, and I'll execute my search. And that term is indexed in the green thesaurus. This is a subject term in the green thesaurus. If I click this, it's a hyperlink. It will give me some information about organic gardening. We know that that is a preferred term. The broader term is gardening. The narrower terms are biointensive and weedless gardening. And we have the ability to explode the narrower terms in our search, which will, if we choose explode, include our preferred term and the narrower terms in our search. If I go back, you'll see that explode feature is also here. All right. If I join those terms with the or operator, I'll stick with or. I'll add that to our search, and you'll see how it's going to include those two narrower terms in my subject search. And then I can execute my search if I want. I can quickly toggle over here, maybe limit it to full text, and then we'll execute that search to find resources with organic gardening as the subject term. So a more refined search because it's going to take a look at these articles as they're tagged with those subject headings. And you can see the subject terms for each of these in the search results. Organic gardening will appear. All right. So that's your subject search. Let me pause here and see if we have any questions. Okay. Question, does the full text option refine to things immediately available in full text? Yes, it will limit to only full text resources. So if you just want to get only full text articles, then definitely use that as a limiter. And that's something you can set as a default option if it's something that you find useful for your institution. Okay, I keep seeing results not immediately in full text in my library, even after selecting that. That would be an issue. If the full text limiter is not limiting to full text resources exclusively, then I would definitely submit a support ticket. Okay. Yes, it should automatically limit to full text resources only when selecting that limiter. Okay, let's take a look at our dashboard. I did save a number of resources, so I'm going to click that Save section, and we can see all of our records are available here that we saved. It does let me know if I want to save this long term. It gives me a prompt to create an account or sign in. I did save a search. Remember that's AI search. So on the Save Searches tab, I see the AI search that I named. It gave me the timestamp when I executed that search and the limiters that I applied. Let's go over to recent activity. These are all of the searches we conducted today. We can see that these searches are numbered. The most recent one was the organic gardening search. Then we did the Consumer Reports Journal search. Each are numbered, timestamp, limiters applied. We now have the ability to combine our searches. Now, I don't think that any of these would make sense to combine, but let's say I wanted to combine search 1 and search 2. If I selected these two, then at the top, our combine option becomes available. I can combine the search with the and or not operator. I'll go ahead and choose and notice how my search is now created. I can combine those two and then I can execute that search. This is a tool that's usually used for systematic reviews or for more refined searches for more experienced researchers such as yourselves. So the ability to combine search history is available now on our search history tab. And if we were to execute that, and then if we go back to our recent activity, we'll see that that is now part of our recent activity. S1 and S2 has been combined for search 7 with our timestamp. All right, so alerts. This is a function of being logged into my EBSCO. You can create an alert to be alerted when, let's say, you wanted to create or save this search. You can save this search and then be alerted when new resources become available based on that search query. If you are logged into my EBSCO, you can create an alert to do that. You can also create an alert for, let's say, a journal. Maybe you are interested in getting the latest issue of Consumer Reports or the buying guide or any of the other publications available within your EBSCO resources. You can be alerted by email when the latest issue becomes available. So we have options to create journal alerts as well as search alerts, all a function of being logged into your personal MyEBSCO account. For demonstration purposes today, I'm not going to log into my EBSCO because I'd have to actually get out of NC Live and kind of show you another experience so I could log in. But I can send information about personalization, how to log in, how to create journal alerts and search alerts with my follow-up to all of you today. Let's see. So that's recent activity. The last thing that I wanted to share before we wrap it up and take last minute questions is our support site. So remember, I mentioned EBSCO Connect. It's an easy URL to remember. It is connect.ebsco.com, and it's publicly accessible. You don't have to sign in to access 99% of the information on this site. The only time you would need to sign in is to submit a support ticket. But everything else for the most part is fully publicly accessible. So here it asks, how can we help? So if you want to learn about anything, let's say, since we talked about new EBSCO host, I'm just going to type new EBSCO host in my search box, execute the search. It's going to pull all of our resources related to the new EBSCO host UI's knowledge base and deliver. We've got a video here. We've got an article. The quick start guide is available here, FAQs, lots of resources. You can see that there are over 400 results pertaining to new EBSCO host. You can filter by content sources, by documentation, or by learning resources. So that's a great resource to just enter anything. If you want to learn more about any of our databases, any of our resources, you can do so. There's also product information here. You can scan through our product help alphabetically. So if you're interested in learning more about CINAHL, which is one of your databases, you can just pop in there. It's going to bring you to our knowledge base for all things CINAHL. So if you want to learn how to use that database, we've got help sheets utilizing those special resources. You can enable PICO searching for CINAHL for your databases in your EBSCO host interface. We have information on doing that as well. But the two things I wanted to point out that I talked about earlier are also available on the product information tab here. It's the platform roadmap and release notes. So I'm going to go to the platform roadmap, and this is also publicly accessible. This roadmap pertains to all of our interfaces, not just EBSCO hosts. So the best way to interact with this, I advise, would be to come over to the filters on the left and then filter by product first. So if we're interested in all things pertaining to EBSCO host, we'll click EBSCO host, and maybe I'm interested in what's coming up. So I'll come to the status section and then filter by what's coming soon. All right, so we can see what's coming soon for EBSCO host. Migration of safe searches to the new UI is coming this month. So any saved resources in your MyEBSCO account will be available when logged into your MyEBSCO in the new UI. So that information will be migrated. We are going to provide the ability to conduct a search where the title and the abstract field code are selected simultaneously. That is particularly useful for our medical databases like CINAHL. In April, we have a major upgrade, or I'm not sure if it's upgrade or kind of a reverting back to classic experience. Our publications authority, our subjects authority, like, and some of our subject headings, like CINAHL, those are all moving back to the left-hand navigation. So just to orient us, right now, accessing all of those authorities are available on the publication and subjects tabs, all right, on the advanced search screen. When in Classic, they used to be available on the left-hand navigation. Well, according to our roadmap, that is going to be moving back to the left-hand navigation in April. And then we have some additional things coming up this summer: people pages, advanced scholarly recommendations, some new features, and an option to download Classic custom folders. So if you created some custom folders in the Classic UI, coming in April, you'll be able to rebuild those in the new UI. There will be a download option to port those things over. So you'll want to stay abreast of what's new, what's coming from our platform roadmap. And last but not least, I will go to the release notes. And here you can see what recently released. I'll click EBSCO user interfaces to see not only the latest releases for our interfaces, but also resolve service issues and enhancements that went live. So as I mentioned, if you see something, say something. If you want to see something, let us know, because there is strength in numbers and we do pay attention, and we want to make sure that this functions best for you and your patrons. So you can see that a number of enhancements were released just in January. All right, well, that does it. We are at time. Any last minute questions before we wrap it up today? Oh, you're welcome, everyone.